No. So the question is understanding concept number one, form-fitting function. What do I want in that? And what I would, my important part is that you understand that concept. That can be like, you know, a square wheel is not going to drive. Basically, it has to be round in order to function, and that's where the structure fits into the function. So when we look at, for example, how a lung is developed, it's developed inside. There are little air bubbles that are little like grape-shaped things that are called alveoli, that are air sacs that have a lot of surface area that oxygen can be absorbed from the atmosphere into the bloodstream. And so the function, the structure there is you create an organ that has a lot of surface area all together. If you actually spread it out, it's really large. That oxygen from the atmosphere can be absorbed into the bloodstream. So that would be the structure, is that large surface area that helps the function of a lot of oxygen going into the bloodstream. Or in the kidneys, you got the filter. The kidneys filter the blood, and then we pee out stuff that we don't need anymore, and liquid. And so that filter is like, there's a lot of, the structure is made that it's ultimately many small little filters, but when you put it together, it's a big, large filter that all the blood gets filtered through all the time. And so that structure helps then the function of filtering the blood. So how something is shaped dictates what it can do.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Good. Any other questions since we're starting here? Because if not, we'll start with the class. And what I want to do is, first of all, I've been doing a lot of grading. I think you guys are doing great. A few of you haven't done much, but I'm going to go after them individually and see what the problems is. But I've seen a lot of very good work. I've seen a lot of engagement. I'm really appreciating that. It's very impressive also how much thinking you put into. I've been reading all the netiquette contracts myself, trying to do a lot of that. And so I'm very impressed by your work. If I'm a little slow with the grading at times, it's because I got 70 students in a 50 class. I want everybody to have the opportunity to take this class when they want to. So I take everybody into the class, but hopefully it won't be a big issue. But if it's the case, and you feel like I'm a little slow, reach out, text me. If you get a little anxious, don't worry about it. Also, the grade percentage sometimes is a little strange. I've seen how it calculates it. I'm going after that. I have a few students that I've like everything done, and it still looks like they have a 70 grade. So I'm not totally sure what the problem is with that. So just be assured that if you do all the work, you'll be doing fine in this class. A lot of the work is not like you're passing a test or not passing a test. A lot of the work is you're doing the work. Like you're labeling the piece of paper, you're coloring the piece of paper or whatever I give you. We're doing a discussion, you reply back to people, then you get the points. And so if you do the legwork, you get the points. Okay, so be aware of that. So if the grade looks a little goofy, I'm working in the background on that. I'm sure we're going to figure it out. And at the end of the day, I hand grade it all anyway. So I'm not going to give you a grade based on some computer program. So do not worry about that, please, too much. But if you get anxious, just reach out. I'll go back, look at it and say like, nah, that's looking fine. You're doing fine. So you got an A or whatever. Hopefully it will not be too much of a problem. I'm very giddy to teach this class, by the way. I was like really excited this morning when I got up at 5 o'clock and couldn't sleep anymore to get ready for this lesson. I've taught this class for many years, but this is the first semester. Last semester, I built it up this way, and this is the first semester where I'm working, where I'm already created it, and so I can just implement it. So so please help me with that. And if things come up, if things are unclear, please reach out to me and ask me to clarify it, because I can make then the class better in the background and hopefully make it easier for the next people. A couple things when at the discussion, what I've seen in a lot of discussions things is you replying great to other people, but then you're not reading or maybe you're reading the reply, but what I need to close the circle is a response back to the reply. So if somebody replies to you, says like, hey, that was a great post, or yeah, that concept, this function and structure thing, thank you so much for writing that because I didn't quite get that and now I get it. Then you respond back to them that you read it and say like, oh, thanks for reaching out, blah, blah, blah. Just a quickie. And that's the 2 points that some of you didn't get yet. If you look at the grading, I have rubrics. And so I try to grade with the rubric. So you know exactly, hopefully exactly what you didn't do quite or what you did. I know it's a little bit overwhelming. Especially the first week is a lot of detailed stuff. And then it's getting, as we can see, it's going to get a little easier. All right, what else is there? Also, please go back to the question, the tips and questions that if you, I go through all of them and I answer a bunch of them. And so, yeah, if you might not get a notification that I did that, and so just go back once in a while and look at it again, maybe a week later or so, because I put I put a picture in on some of them, and I just, try to answer those as much as I can. I learn a lot from those things, so I want to read all of those. All right, so good. And then the other thing that came up when I started grading, I see somebody did flashcards already and took pictures of flashcards when it came to the coloring exercise. So that's really cool. So I do encourage you to use multiple formats. Use what fits you. You do not have to use my format. You can draw, you can make a picture, you can, for a lot of things, you can make videos if you don't like to write. And so take advantage of that. And no, I'm very encouraging your creativity. I'm encouraging your finding out what works best for you. That's part of doing online classes, is figuring out each other's intelligences. Everybody has multiple different intelligences. It's not just all reading a book and writing a text. And so, feel free in this class to explore that. I'm very, very encouraging you to do that. See, let's say, you have a question. Do you want to do that real quick?
Yes, hello. So I had a question about this week's work, the language of anatomy worksheet.
Mm-hmm.
So for the first part where we're color labeling the dorsal cavity and the ventral, so are we just like labeling the leader lines with which cavity is dorsal and which cavity is ventral, or are we like trying to find the terms, if that makes sense?
No, you're labeling what I give you as terms.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to go deeper than what I give you.
So like,
because you could subdivide you could subdivide the cavities more, but I'm not worried about, I'm worried. Let me look at that real quick. Where is it? Oh. Hang there, I gotta go into one of them to see what you're talking about. Do I give you the terms? That's what
I can show you on camera what I'm looking at.
Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can see it. Oh boy. Yeah, show me real quick.
It's first.
Yeah, just label dorsal ventral. Just
Okay.
label dorsal ventral. Don't worry about more than that.
Okay, thank you.
And then, yeah, I'll go over this week's. I'm reading chats real quick. I'm going to go over this week's work for sure. Also, if you have problems. And that's Lou. And then Catherine, can you see our names? I can see your names. Well, it's, I say in the quiz, in the questions and tips, I want to leave it anonymous. So if you want to put your name in, that's fine. But if you don't have to, because if you want to say something, because I also want to have critiques. And I give you credit for doing it. I want to make sure you can also say, like, this was too much work, I couldn't handle it or something, and we can talk about it. And I want you to feel like that's okay. And if, some people feel more secure if they can stay anonymous on that.
Will you see that we get credit for if we do anonymous, or how would you know? Like, how would we know it's graded? Like,
well, I usually count and see where it's going and see what's up, and most of you guys get credit.
Okay.
And so, I mostly can figure out what's going on. Most of you do write down the name. If I have one or two anonymous, I'm not going to worry about it. Okay.
Thank you. Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, cool. But yeah, it's the Q&A is very, for the tips is, for me, is a very important part of the class. because that's where I learn a lot of the feedback, and I get an understanding and a feel where you feel the class is at. And so because we're not in person, so it's a little hard sometimes to gauge. Do I give you too much? Do I give you enough? That kind of stuff. And I want to overwhelm you, but not totally overwhelm you. That's, there's a little fine line with that. Anyway, so let's go now. If you have other questions, reach out, ask me. Otherwise, let me go into this week and share my screen with you.
Mr. M, I have a question before we move on.
Mm-hmm.
When should we start on our, either if we're drinking 2 quarts of water or exercising, when should we start?
Okay. We'll start that this week. That's part of what Yes, I know that's part of one of the things that we're starting this week. So first here, can you see my screen? Anybody?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So let me put the student view in so you see what I see what you see. First of what I did is in the netiquette suggestions, I just put all of these on a tablet, on a Padlet, without anybody on it, and just in case somebody wants to go back, if something feels like, just so we have it as a reference, since everybody did so much work on that. And I found those suggestions really helpful. They're really, really cool. It's important to reflect on these things because, it is so anonymous to be online. So I just put that there. No need to really go into it. This is this week's Zoom recording. So I'm going to post the video in here, but I'm also going to post the link. I'm probably going to Pronto it to you guys. Can everybody get into Pronto? If you cannot get into Pronto, I have you all in the back. So if you can get in from your side, please let me know via a regular text, and then we can work in the background on that. Because I do think using Pronto for these exercises and the communication is what I would like to use as the main means in this class. And then next thing here, the recording will go back here too. And then the objectives as we get in here, this week, we're going to touch on energy and matter and chemistry and what on an atomical fundamental level, how you're made up of. So we have a lecture, and then we have activities. We have the regular questions. Every lesson has questions behind it. And then this week, we're also going to join a group. We're going to make groups of 4 people. That way, when we get to pathology project, we have also a group, but also I think it's sort of the first layer of reaching out to each other, like questions and stuff. So the group is interesting. It has, in the group function, you can sort of have your own platform where you can discuss things with each other and work with each other. Having said that right there, though, I want to reach real quick to the from the group into the homepage, because what I've done there is I've done a study Zoom group link. And so when you click on that, you're going to get a meeting that is behind with a meeting ID that is open 24 hours, 24/7. And you can have virtual group meetings in there and do study groups in there. Also, I can be partaking in there, and you can reach out and say like, hey, we got some questions, Dr. M. Is there a way you can check in real quick and join us real quick? And I can try to do that depending, of course, what I'm doing, or we can make a meeting where I can also join there. And so I did create that. I want to see how that goes. Please reach out to me if you would like to have help communicating with each other and getting groups together. So we'll see how that goes and how that works. So that's what I did there. So that you reach that through the home screen. Okay, so where are we at? Under objectives. Oh, let's just go through here. That's easier. Under learning, we have the videos. And then under the videos, we have concepts. So I think after the first lesson, you probably understand I'm doing videos. I have lecture videos, which are me on the screen. And then I have class videos where I'm talking in the classroom. Depending on which one you prefer, just play with it. And then underneath, I have the main concepts, and the main concepts, I'm working on putting them into tabs. So it's not just a long scrolling thing, but it's a little complicated in the background to do that. And so I'm working on that. But here you have then the main concepts. And the main concepts, what I did is I basically took the text from the booklets and work with the booklets, not all of it, but most of it. And I make bullet points of the main points of what we talk about. And so this is sort of the essentials out of the textbook, so to speak. And so I think that's probably a good starting point for flashcards or for integrating the material, or even, you know, if you want to screenshot it and then make your own little book out of it or something, that's also good to do that. I totally leave that up to you guys. Be creative, make use of all these new wonderful tools we have. All right, and then we have the questions. I talked about that. And then here we get the next exercise, and that's joining a group. So when you join the group, what you want to do when you look at the directions, you want to go into people. And in people, you want to go into groups. And then in groups, you want to add yourself to a group. Now, how the heck am I adding myself to a group? I actually didn't do that yet. So I can join a group. Oh boy, I didn't test that puppy yet. So try it out on your end how that works. And if it doesn't work, then please give me an understanding why it doesn't work.
Sure, Dr. M, well, on my side, it shows that you can just click join.
Oh, you can join?
Yeah, it says
Oh.
that you could just join. Let me see if I could just show you my screen.
All right, cool. Let me stop. Let me stop real quick. Can you join my screen or not?
Let's see. Oh, there you go. See, it has the option to join.
Oh, perfect. Okay, then you guys can do that. And I'm not sure why I'm a little challenged here myself setting it up. But so you guys should be able to do that. So then, you know, just what you want to do is look at, you know, look at some of the profiles of your peers, or just automatically join with somebody. But join a group and create these groups out of more or less four people that I want to have in a group. And then we've established that, and then that gives you a format to communicate with each other. And as I'm still learning how the group function works myself, I started using it last semester, and so I'm also diving more into it, of what the tools are that we can use in there. But I think it's sort of an individual platform that each group gets. So we're definitely going to use it once we do the pathology project, but that's not going to be happening till like week 10, 11-ish or so when we start that. Okay, then the next so this shouldn't take you long. The next activity is explain through images. And so when I made my PowerPoints and then the booklets later, really what I try to do is understand the material myself as well as possible, you know, and then so I can teach it also and convey the concepts. But what I've realized, it's really all about, to me, it's all about pictures and images in an anatomy format. And so what I want to do here, to just tap you guys into that process a little bit, go, you know, through some of the learnings, what you learn, and then go and Google some images and search for images and things that clarify what you're trying to learn and give you visuals. And then copy one of those and paste it into a document and share with the group of why that image helped you understand the material a little bit better that you're studying. And then that gets us a discussion, and we can share with each other what images kind of help each other. And so that hopefully that will give some of you guys a process that you may have not incorporated yet in terms to learn these kind of things. So I wanted to have an activity around that, especially since I stopped sort of making the booklets required textbooks, because it's, you know, it can be pretty dry material, and it's really about figuring it out on yourself, what's called what and why is it called that. And so I think it's a good activity because of that. Then we have more understanding concepts. Again, that's just some questions that we had already. That's a discussion forum. And then here we're going to go into the health kit part in habit integration and reflection. That's the question that came up before. So what I want us to do now is I want us to start. Well, first of all, if you haven't given me what activity, either drinking 2 quarts of water a day, meditating 10 minutes a day, or exercising 30 minutes a day, we're doing that 5 days out of the week for 3 weeks. Tell me which one you want to be partaking. Shoot me a text or a prompt on that. And if you haven't done that yet, so I can put you in a group. And then what I'm going to do in the background, I'm going to make groups of same activity per people, not more than like 10 per group, because otherwise it gets overwhelming. And then each time that you do an exercise, or you drink your water, you finish drinking your water, or you meditate, you say, hey, I've done my activity and I've done it, and I feel like blah, blah, blah. Like, oh my God, I peed all night long. I just shouldn't have drunk well before I go to bed. Or, I meditated and it feels so much calmer. Or sometimes, maybe not. Or I exercised and whatever happened. And so then we sort of have a feeling behind it. What did it do for us in the immediate? And then later on at the end, we're going to go and say, like, how did it feel like doing the whole span of time? That I do this because at the end of the day, for me, an anatomy class is really, or anatomy physiology class is really about understanding more about us. And I want to create an environment where you, through that process, can also learn how to better, better take care of ourselves. I mean, many of us do that fine. But also, it gets into then more the medical system, because it's a very complicated system at this point. It's not easy to navigate. And the more we know about these things, the better. And also, I want to give us the opportunity to understand it's not all genetics. There's a lot we can do about how we feel on a daily basis. And so a little group pressure is not bad for that. So we do that 5 days a week, take the weekends off. On your scorecard, track, check off you did it and say what it feels like real quick. And then shoot the text to the group. And then at the end of the 3 weeks, we're going to take a picture. Well, at the end of the 3 weeks, what you're going to do then is you're going to take the survey again of the 7 parts of the lifestyle and see if there's any change in your scoring. And then you upload the scorecard, and we do a discussion at the end of the whole thing and see how people felt about that. All right. So yes, habits start this week. So today, tomorrow, if you already gone through the day, start tomorrow. And then a second thing, since we're talking about chemistry, I figured, because part of the chemistry is going to be biochemistry, it's going to be what does the fat look like, what does a carbohydrate look like, what does a protein look like, and we're going to go into the food at that point. And so what I want us to do as an integration exercise is I want us to read a little bit of food labels and read these labels on the foods that we don't usually look at. And maybe it's a good thing, because we don't want to be too paranoid. But I think as an exercise, I want you to take a few foods, take 5 foods, take a vegetable, a fruit. Those we might have to look up the statistics on Google, which is fine, or the values. And then take some, processed foods and things you eat. And I want us to analyze them. So say what the food is, and then on a table, you can, take a screenshot of this and then fill it out, or just fill it out on a piece of paper with your handwriting, and then take a picture of it and upload that. Again, be creative. Do not have to be, well, I got to be able to read your writing, but it doesn't have to be typed or anything. Anyway, and then you look at it, you go like, well, how many calories per serving does it have, and write that down. And then how many servings per container, and then how many servings did you eat, basically, because then you got to ask how many calories did you consume. So sometimes, because I often notice when it comes to pretzels, I eat like 5 servings at once or so, because I like them so much. And so I have to make sure to account for that. And then you just go down the list, and you look at how many fats are there, what's the total amount of fats. I want you to give you in grams, and if the food indicates it in daily value. See, the daily value gives you a percentage of how much that food you consume in a totality of the day. So it's like 15% of saturated fats you've been consumed, that you should be consuming in that one day, you consumed it in that one sitting. And so that's the percentage of daily value. So if you can indicate those both, and so what you do is you basically have this thing here, and you multiply it by how many servings you ate, or divide it if you didn't eat a whole serving. And then we do this. So we do the fats, we do the saturated fats, the trans fats, the cholesterol. Again, if it indicates it, sodium is important, and then potassium, total carbs. Fiber is important. They do that. Sugars, proteins, and then a lot of times they indicate vitamin A, C, calcium, and iron. So do that for 5 foods, and then I think this is a discussion for. No, I think we do that afterwards. And then I want you to finish, I want you to answer these questions. What surprised you most about your foods analyzed? Did your foods analyzed contain fiber? Which leaves most? And how does processed food differ from non-processed food in terms of sugar, protein, saturated fat, trans fat, etc.? What are your thoughts about the foods analyzed, and what impact, if any, does this exercise have on food choices? And so then you do that, answer these questions, take a picture or type it up and upload it and send it over to me, and then I can look at it. And I'm not grading you based on what food you eat. I don't really have a problem with that. I'm more grading us in the exercise and in the awareness building of what we do. So do not feel bad about any of that. And so that's it basically for this week in terms of activity. So hopefully it's not as overwhelming as last week. We do, of course, finish up with the questions and tips at the end. So to give me feedback and each other some understanding and help potentially, and suggestions of how to navigate this class. All right. So with that, is there any questions that come up? Nothing? Is everybody still here? Yeah. Okay, good. All right. Well, no questions. Let's see. No discussion chats. Okay. Well, in that case, any thoughts that you want to share with me or us or the class, the group, experiences? Good. Well, if nothing comes up, we can basically close it out. Yes.
We need groups today.
To make groups today? You make them this week.
Okay.
Yeah, you make them. It says, I think, Friday. I want you to be a part of a group. Otherwise, over the weekend, I'll assign you to a group if you're not.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what you do today or tomorrow, you start with your activity. And so one thing you need to do is send me that over, what you want to do, if you haven't done that yet.
How much of a stickler are you with word count? Like when
No.
if we want to reply and go a little bit over in our response?
Yeah, ballpark.
Okay.
No biggie at all. No. No, it's just I don't need excessive language, but I also don't need yes, no only, basically.
Okay, thank you.
Your name.
Anybody else?
Dominic.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
On the join a group, the directions is click on people link. Is this link like in that module?
Should be on the left side where it is the home announcement modules. Great. Underneath it says people.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look at it on my laptop. I'm looking at it on my mobile phone and it's not showing up.
Oh, yeah, that could be on a mobile phone. And also, when you look on the computer, like on top where the class is indicated, it says biology, blah, blah, 24, and then there's 3 lines. And they if you click on those, they make that section collapse or expand. And so when you look at the computer, make sure you look at it that way.
Okay, thank you.
And if you still have questions, just shoot me a text.
Great, thanks.
For the groups, Dr. M, are we supposed to be with people that have the same habit that we do, or we're just gonna add, 4 different people into whatever group?
The group and the habits are different. I do the habit. So you just use 4 people that you think, you can look at the profiles of them and see what they write and see like, oh, I'd like to work with them or so, and just join the groups that way. And the habit groups are more in the background where I create the groups on prompt or to just give each other some feedback.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Going once, going twice. I guess we're good. Well, if something comes up, don't hesitate, send me a text, send me a pronto, and we'll be just doing fine that way. I wish you guys a wonderful week, and I'm glad you are in class. I'm very proud of your work so far. keep it up and involve me in the process. All right. Take care.
Thank you. You too.
Bye,
Have a
Professor. Have a great
Thank
day.
you. Have a
Professor.
good day.
Thank you,
Bye.
Dr. M.
Take care.
Thank you.
Hey, Professor, one last question.
Yes, sir.
If I need to join Pronto, I'm just having trouble on my end.
Oh, let me see if I have problems. If it should be, I'm not sure if you need to make a profile or anything. I didn't think so. I think you should just be part of it. Do you have an app on it or not?
I have the app installed and I tried to follow the